World War II strikes America. The country fights back like never before. America becomes the most powerful war machine the world has ever seen. By entering the war, the United States transforms itself into a superpower in only 4 years. We are pioneers and trailblazers. We fight for freedom. We transform our dreams into the truth. Our struggles will become a nation. America prepares for battle. The 1930s meant poverty, no future. But with war comes purpose and determination. American industry goes into overdrive. It will go to war with the economic and military powers of the Axis: Germany, Italy, and Japan. Now, every weapon, ration, medical supply is mass-produced on a scale never seen before in human history.
Sometimes it takes a terrific challenge and a horrific threat to the Republic to discover how good you can be.
But the road to greatness begins with treachery. December 7th, 1941. 200 miles north of Hawaii. A pack of cutting-edge killing machines are on a mission to destroy the American fleet at Pearl Harbor.
The Japanese Zero was a better fighter than anything the Americans had produced at that time.
The Japanese Zero. It can fly 2,000 miles without refueling. Perfect for a surprise attack.
When Pearl Harbor was attacked, it was one of the most stunning moments in American history.
Now, 183 Japanese bombers and fighters are heading straight for Hawaii. Another 170 follow right behind. Japan has built an empire across Korea, Manchuria, and Hong Kong. It wants the whole Pacific Ocean. But the U.S. fleet in Pearl Harbor stands in its way. Opana Mobile Radar Station, 30 miles north of Pearl Harbor. Radar operator Joe Lockard makes first contact.
What's this?
2 blips are showing something out to sea. Radar is still experimental technology in 1941. Its importance is about to be realized.
If I could reach out and touch you from greater distances, I had a tactical, strategic advantage.
Radar will evolve into a system essential to the modern world, tracking 10 million flights around America and 5 billion passengers around the world every year.
Definitely incoming.
So far, America has kept out of the Second World War.
We had almost our whole fleet in one little harbor, one little area. We were sitting ducks. But then again, we trusted in the Japanese. At the same time, we were having peace talks with them. They even gave us a peace medal.
America is about to receive the biggest wake-up call it's ever known.
Operator?
Private Joseph McDonald of the 580th Aircraft Warning Division.
Yeah, this is Opana. It looks like there are a large number of planes coming in from the north, 3 points east.
I think everyone's gone off shift. Hold on.
It's early Sunday morning. Japan is over 4,000 miles from Hawaii. Pearl Harbor is not expecting to be attacked. The surprise attack, once the specialty of American riflemen in the War of Independence. The tactic that made America free is now being used against it.
We still got planes coming in. It looks like an awful big flight.
Okay.
Lieutenant Kermit Tyler. He knows there is a flight of American B-17s due in today. He assumes that's what's on the screen.
Well, look, don't worry about it.
What do you think it is, sir?
Nothing.
Though radar is invented and used by the British as early as 1935, this SCR-270 mobile radar system was developed by the U.S. Army. But radar is still considered a gadget by the military. There are only 5 radar trucks to cover the whole of the Hawaiian Islands. And they're only manned 3 hours a day.
20 miles.
Radar has another weak point. It can't see through Hawaii's mountains. The low-flying Japanese squadron vanishes from the screen. Shift over. There's nothing more the men can do. McDonald types up his report.
Hey, Bob. Take a look at this, will you?
Today, America pays the price for neglecting radar.
When did this come in?
At 7:50 a.m., the Japanese attack Pearl Harbor.
Most of the Marines and sailors were still in their rack. They were still asleep. We had no idea that this was going to happen. But we all know that it did.
The Japanese have prepared this attack for a year. They have rehearsed bombing a model of Pearl Harbor in Japan until they reach an 80% hit rate. All 8 battleships are put out of action. 1,178 Americans are wounded. 2,403 are killed. Private McDonald's report was finally read, but by then it was too late.
A day that will live in infamy. We were completely unprepared for that emotionally. And it turned the country on a dime, overnight. Anti-war people were down, signing up to join the Navy, the Army, the Marines, whatever was required.
27 hours after the attack, America declares war on Japan. 3 days later, the U.S. is at war with Germany.
It unleashed the wrath of America. And I think it gave us an energy that carried us through the rest of the war.
Once provoked, that massive tiger of engineering was awakened. We had factories that were sitting underutilized in Detroit and around the country because of the Great Depression. We were ready to go on a building spree.
The sleeping giant awakens. America transforms into an arsenal of democracy. The nation sets to work. Before the war, there were 3 million unemployed. Now, America's huge potential is being realized.
There was no country that had a deeper economic base and an enormous pool of not just labor, but of scientists and engineers and technologists.
An American icon is born, the general purpose vehicle. known as the GP, or the Jeep. It's made for war, tough, fast, and low to the ground. It's 37 inches high, has a flat hood and a folding windscreen. Its low profile makes it difficult to line up in an enemy's sights. It's small, but can carry up to 7 men. Even the front bumper is a seat. An M1 carbine gun goes just below the windscreen. There's a shovel and an axe to dig yourself out of trouble. There are jerry cans of gas to get you home. If the Jeep flips over, you just lift it out. It weighs in at a lean 2,315 pounds, light enough to be put in gliders and drop behind enemy lines.
What the Jeep symbolized in World War II was not cutting-edge technology, although it was a four-wheel drive vehicle, so it was very capable. But what the Jeep really showed was the power of American manufacturing.
Designed by Bantam and produced by Willys Overland and Ford, 3 Jeeps are produced every 4 minutes by the end of the war.
Over the course of the war, we deployed over 600,000 Jeeps. To fly around this open vehicle at top speed was just something every American boy wanted to grow up to do. To this day, I mean, part of the boom in SUVs that we saw was that notion that you want a vehicle that can go anywhere, that can do anything. That's a very American spirit, and it really started with the Jeep.
Jeeps, tanks, and every other weapon of war will be produced in record numbers. But America's best-kept secret weapon of World War II has yet to be revealed. America sets to work. The plan, overwhelm the enemy through mass production. 88,000 tanks, 7,333 ships, 20 million rifles and small arms, and 40 billion bullets produced in 4 years. 43 million men are registered for combat service. But America needs more manpower. The answer is the best-kept secret weapon of World War II.
It was actually the women back in this nation that were the ones working in the factories, that were putting the tanks together, building the ships, building the airplanes, you know, so they are actually the ones that logistically won the war for us.
Women, like Peggy Blakey, a migrant farm worker. Now she works in a munitions factory, like 2 million other women. The Depression is suddenly over. The factory used to make fireworks. Now it's pumping out 20mm tracer shells. Tracer shells leave a trail of burning chemicals containing magnesium. See where it's going, and you can hit your target. The pressure to produce quickly is real. So is the danger. Just combing your hair could kill you. Static electricity and gunpowder equal explosion. But the risk is worth it. Peggy makes real money, $32 a week.
To us, it was just an absolute miracle. Before that, we made nothing. Now we'd have money to buy shoes and a dress and pay rent and get some food on the table.
And pay taxes. Tax returns jumped from less than $4 million in 1939 to $42 million in 1945. World War II will cost $300 billion. Twice as much as the federal government had spent since George Washington. Women's salaries set off a wartime consumer boom. 11,000 supermarkets are built. Purchases go up 12%.
the precedent of what women had accomplished in World War II did linger in the memory of the society at large, and I think was one of the things that energized the feminist movement a decade or two later.
In World War II, when women entered the workforce, once they got a taste of that kind of fulfillment that work can give you, there was no going back.
But Peggy's job is undeniably dangerous.
I was most worried about the detonators.
Detonators are put into the tip of the shell last. They explode on impact. They set off the gunpowder in the shell. Detonators are extremely unstable. The factory is a giant bomb. It's loaded with tons of explosives. It only takes a spark to set it off.
This terrible thunderstorm came.
Would all staff report to the cafeteria immediately, please?
We were in a hurry to go, and somebody knocked the detonators on the floor. We were in the pitch dark. Somebody was screaming, "Don't move, anybody!" I just froze right where I was. I was afraid to step. I was so scared, I crawled on my hands and knees. We were in slow motion. Because if we'd stepped on one...
Making weapons can be as dangerous as using them. In the first 16.5 months of the war, 12,000 military men die. But 64,000 American workers die through accidents. Another 6 million are injured. Tonight, Peggy is one of the lucky ones. First, they survived the Depression. Now they risk their lives every day for their country at war.
That was our finest generation in terms of people who would sacrifice and give something of themselves.
300,000 aircraft come out of U.S. factories during the war. America will put them to use with a bold new tactic. High-altitude precision bombing by day, while the British bomb at night. August 17, 1942. These are the men who will see if it can be done. If they survive, the way war is fought will change forever. Paul Tibbets from Quincy, Illinois, one of America's best pilots of the B-17 bomber, the Flying Fortress.
My father thought I was crazy not to be a doctor. He said, if you want to go kill yourself, go ahead.
The planes are cramped, unheated, and unpressurized. Crews suffer claustrophobia, altitude sickness, and frostbite. Of the 111 men on this mission, 31 will be dead or missing by the end of the war. These men depend on each other.
You know, if you ask anybody that's ever been in combat, they will tell you, yeah, sure, you fought for your country, you fought for your way of life, you know, but in all reality, you're fighting for your buddy that's right next to you.
The B-17 bomber is just as tough as its crew. It's got 4 engines, not 2. It's got 4,000 pounds of bombs, and it can go at least 2,000 miles. It bristles like a porcupine. 8 50 caliber machine guns fight off enemy air attacks.
The B-17 bomber, it may not have been the greatest aircraft that was ever created, but it was tough, it was durable, and it found a way to keep going, which is pretty much like an American soldier. You know, tough, durable, and found a way to keep going.
The planes climb. Oxygen keeps you alive above 10,000 feet. No oxygen, you could black out in 3 minutes and die in 20. The target is Rouen, the Germans' biggest railway marshalling yard in northern France. Trains supply the German economic and military empire across Europe. Tibbetts' mission is to wipe the yard from the map. August 17, 1942. Before today, the Allies had only bombed under the cover of night. But targets are hard to see. To increase the chances of a direct hit, America bombs by day. The aim is accuracy. The Norden bomb sight is the way to get it. It's an early computer. It's top secret. The crew will destroy it rather than have it fall into enemy hands. Dial in airspeed, wind direction, and altitude.
1 minute to target.
The machine calculates where to fly and when to drop the bombs. By destroying the Germans' economic and industrial base, America will weaken the Nazis' military might. Today's target is key. The railway yards at Rouen keep the German war machine alive.
45 seconds to target.
U.S. air crews pay a high price in casualties to achieve their goal. In 1943 alone, 2/3 of air crews never came home. The weather is perfect for the bombing run. Visibility virtually infinite. But at 23,000 feet, B-17s leave vapor trails, arrows in the sky, pointing right to the planes. German anti-aircraft fire explodes under the B-17s. Tibbetts keeps his nerves and the plane steady. The computerized bomb sight zeroes in on the target.
Target in sight. Target in sight.
The success of the mission all rests on this moment.
Bombs away!
Success. 36,900 pounds of bombs hit the rail yard. 50% of the bombs fall in the target area. In 1942, that is precision bombing. A big improvement over nighttime attacks. This technology will ultimately lead to today's GPS-guided smart bombs. But now, the direct hit rate is up to 95%. Tibbetts knows his mission is a success.
We caught the Germans by surprise. They hadn't expected a daytime attack.
But then shrapnel rips the air. The Germans open up their big guns. 88mm anti-aircraft shells explode around the plane. Tibbetts goes into a steep climb, swinging away from the flak. proved daylight bombing is possible.
A feeling of elation took hold of us as we winged back across the channel. We had braved the enemy in his own skies, and we're alive to tell about it.
All sides bombed industrial targets in cities in World War II. Targeting trade and industry means bombing in or near population centers. A grim fact of World War II that sees ordinary families killed in numbers undreamt of in earlier conflicts. Paul Tibbets will be famous for another bombing run, but it's 3 years away. He will drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima.